Friday, October 6th, 2023, and this is your intelligence briefing from Protestia.com, where we bring you the latest in Christian polemics and discernment news from all over the interwebs. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a lot of headlines to get to, and these headlines really are brought to us by our intrepid patron supporters who for only $5.95 a month can help us on a financial level over at patreon.com/Protestia, and we would be honored if you would join them. And there's a new little benefit for that if you do, which we will get to as we get through the headlines, but let's get to it. First headline at Protestia.com. IFB pastor Steven Anderson's son is a full-fledged Nazi. This is Isaac Anderson's son of IFB pastor Steven Anderson, who is a controversial Arizona pastor, noted firebrand from the 300-member Faithful Word Baptist Church in Tempe, Arizona, has an adult son who has gone astray, and we mean really, really astray. Anderson, who is known for his rigorous independent fundamentalist Baptist theology, hatred of Calvinism, a famous clip about men pissing on walls, and open glee at the thought of homosexuals being frog-marched and killed in the streets, has 12 children, his oldest being 22-year-old Isaac. We've known for a while he's been a troubled soul, but a recent article by the Friendly Atheist demonstrates how far he's come in adopting racist beliefs and ideologies. Trolling the left with subversive posts is one thing. They believe everything is a racist dog whistle of some kind, but getting a Nazi eagle tattooed across one's chest in a since-deleted post is something else altogether. So supposedly, I guess this is Isaac Anderson taking a picture of a tattoo that he recently got. And he said, I'm not a skinhead. You're a Nazi, yes, but not a skinhead. Good, but are you aware of your ideology, or is it just protest or fashionable? No, I'm quite well informed on it. I'm a true believer. Supposedly, you can read the rest of this over at Protestia.com, but safe to say this young man is a troubled soul, very much it seems involved in inexcusable, sinful ideology and racism, and we hate to see that, but we're going to bring it to you so that you are aware of what is going on out there. Next headline at Protestia. Worship pastor at J.D. Greer's Summit Church says having sex before marriage was good and helpful. This is a post from the Dissenter.com. Dissenter, which is, I'm going to go over to the Dissenter video article here. And we'll go straight to it. Former SBC President J.D. Greer has been under fire on social media in recent days after a video surfaced of him advocating for his church's diversity, equity, inclusion program. But what exactly is the result? Apparently this. You may remember during the COVID BLM scandal a few years ago, Greer's Summit Church was involved in an anti-police march in North Carolina alongside militant Black Lives Matter groups. The march was led by one of Greer's co-pastors, worship pastor Michael Georges Jr. And this is his social media account over here, linking Summit, and this was just a day ago, I believe. But he's got a video down here basically of him saying, and you can find this as you scroll down. It is a embedded tweet from the Dissenter on Twitter where he talks about believing that having sex before marriage was good because it helped him and his wife know what they were getting into physically. I guess make sure that they liked were had enough sexual chemistry or something like that before they actually tie the knot. So yeah, it sounds like a totally Christian position to take. And I believe this gentleman was leading, if I remember correctly, worship at the 2021 SBC annual meeting. So there's that little nugget as well. You can read the rest of that over at the Dissenter, DISNTR.com, under the title Worship Pastor at J.D. Greer's Summit Church says that having sex before marriage was good and helpful. Next headline at Protestia. Exclusive. Andy Stanley tells Unconditional conference attendees he refuses to say homosexuality is a sin, which of course we've been telling you about for some time now, as we have chronicled the goings-on at the conference last weekend. And we got the links to part 1, part 2, and part 3 of our expose so far. But this is more. Andy Stanley joined Debbie Causey for the second main session of the Unconditional Conference. Causey is a quote-unquote pastor and longtime care director at North Point Community Church. She is a board member of Renovus, an LGBTQ activist group led by her other gay-affirming leaders within North Point Church. And let's get to the poll quotes here. I still get constantly, this is Andy Stanley. Andy, yes or no? We had a television network kick us off the air this year. Yes or no? Is homosexuality a sin? I'm not going to answer that question. We have to have a new language, he says, that creates the potential for a sane, realistic dialogue regarding homosexuality because, quote, until we can change the language, we can't have a conversation. Now, changing the language is simply postmodernism because the meaning behind the language hasn't changed. And so in order to get people to believe different meanings, you have to just change what those meanings and those definitions mean. You can read the rest of this over at protestia.com, including Andy Stanley here apparently saying, I've never talked about this, but the challenge is I can't make my personal thing the church thing. So he is okay with his personal moral standard and the church's taught standard and practiced standard being two totally different things. Read more at Protestia. Next headline, heretic Jesse Duplantis announces new $21 million jet and apparently threatens to buy CBS and NBC if they mess with him. Now, I don't know if Jesse Duplantis can't do math or whatever, but as rich as he is, he can't buy Comcast, NBC, Comcast, Universal, nor can he buy Viacom, CBS. But anyway, let's we'll read this a little bit. Kenneth Copeland Ministries just completed their annual Sheep, Goat, and Fleecing 2023 Victory-thon fundraiser, where they raised over $8 million, promising wealth and riches for whoever sows a seed. Notably, during this time, arch-heretic Jesse Duplantis announced that his ministry purchased a Falcon 7X jet for a cool $21 million. So this is actually the video here from the little Victory-thon. Let's listen in.
Listen, I just purchased the dream of my life in terms of what God told me to believe was the Falcon 7X.
Yeah, that's the dream of his life. Yeah, a supposed Christian minister. The dream of his life is a private jet.
A lot of money, $21 million.
And the Lord said, what's more important to you? And I was believing for a Falcon 50 at the time. Mm-hmm. He said, what's more important to you, owning a Falcon 50 or helping Brother Copeland with this Victory-thon?
Oh, wow.
I said, Lord, you know anything Kenneth Copeland's doing is more important to me. He said, then so another $200,000 out of your aviation account. Well, so that was February of 2019. By September of 2020,
yes,
that Falcon 50 had manifested.
Praise God.
Okay.
It manifested. It just sort of, came out of thin air. The money just, the money that was could have been used for other, much more noble endeavors. We don't have to worry about it because it'll just manifest. It'll just show up. It'll just drop from the sky, apparently. You can read the rest of this and see the rest of this video at protestia.com or over on Protestia's Twitter account with this tweet here. Heretic Jesse Duplantis announces $21 million jet. Next headline at Protestia. Luther Seminary preacher compares herself to Jeremiah, says we must repent of climate catastrophe, anti-trans laws, and banning books. This is the ELCA, who else? One of the vilest denominations in America, pro-homosexuality, pro-choice, certainly anti-Jesus, populated by spiritually decrepit senior citizens and virtue-twerking LGBTQ 20-somethings. Less than 1% of the congregants in the denomination are saved, as you can only submit to a satanic pastor for so long without getting a little demonic yourself. We have a bunch of links here to other ELCA information. This is during Luther Seminary, which is their seminary's June 20th chapel service. So a few months ago, preacher Anna Farrow, who works as a community fellow with the Student Affairs Office while she awaits her first call, gave a message on Jeremiah 21-6 in this reading. Pashur, the official in charge of the temple, here's Jeremiah prophesying doom and gloom, beats him, throws him in jail, causing Jeremiah to tell him his new name is Terror on Every Side. Here she finds a parallel. And this, by the way, it was a tip from Exposing the ELCA. So we would recommend that if you want to find more information about all of the terrible stuff going on over there, that is a good resource. Apparently this quote from this sermon or this message or whatever was, when are we in a similar situation to Jeremiah, when we see the writing on the wall and try to warn our communities about it, but are told no more of that message. Sometimes this is a message for the world at large about how we're living in a climate catastrophe and things need to change. Okay. How the rights of trans folks are being stripped before our very eyes and things need to change. Structures of our society are racist, homophobic, sexist, ableist, and things need to change, so on and so forth. Read more about that at protestia.com, including links to I believe the service is actually on YouTube, and then there's a bunch of other links here to other ELCA exposure. 2 more headlines. This one here, the Essential Church film tops the Apple Store, #1 in documentaries. And a bit of good news, the Essential Church film about Grace Community Church's struggle against the county and state of California to stay open during the pandemic amid worldwide opposition and condemnation from pagans and pastors alike. #1 on iTunes for documentaries for those going to purchase it. We have a review, and it's linked in this article if you want to see what we thought about it when I went to see it in theaters just a little while ago. And obviously, we would recommend that you check out our review and check out the documentary if you have not already done so. It is well worth your time. Next headline at Protestia, last headline, ad-free browsing. Some of you maybe heard me talking about this earlier, but ad-free browsing is finally here. We've been trying to get this set up for some time. Avid readers of Protestia can now count ad-free browsing among the benefits of joining us on Patreon for only $5.95 a month. You can log in using the login link in the menu or the connect your Patreon button in the main sidebar to log on to the website. You will know you're logged in because the greeting will look like this over here. Hey, David, thanks for supporting us. Well, that's me. I'm logged in when I took that screenshot. If you'd prefer to continue browsing with ads, still glad to have you here, and let us know if any problematic ads sneak up through the clean ad firewall. But we really think, of course, you should join up. Which includes the full version of Protestia Tonight, including the PTVIP listener-driven portion, rather than merely the freeloader version available at Bible Thumping Wingnut or your favorite podcatcher. In fact, Patreon, this is something that some of our patrons don't know. Patreon provides an RSS feed that is unique to you for the full versions of the program on Patreon. You can drop that RSS feed into your favorite podcast playing program, and it will pull up the latest full length Protestia Tonight, and anything else that we put on Patreon will just drop right into that feed. As far as audio goes, it won't be every message, but as far as audio goes, it'll all drop into your favorite podcast listening program. And we got a little picture in here to show you how to get there. Patrons will also be given access to special content only available when logged in, as our way of saying thank you for your generosity and your faithfulness in supporting independent Christian discernment and polemics journalism. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Intelligence Briefing for the 6th of October, 2023. Have a good weekend. We'll see you at church on Sunday. As always, Semper Reformanda.